Welcome to Straight Talk. Today, we sit down with Slavitza Demaine, a dynamic leader and manager at Southern New Hampshire University. We're going to explore her inspiring journey to the United States and her pathway to success. We'll dive into her early apprehensions about immigrating, the career shift she made, and sit down and buckle up and get ready for that because there were a few of them, all positive, and how she now leads a talented team while navigating cultural differences. Slavitza shares her passion for the cleaning industry, the value of training and certification, and how she is a strong partner of ISSA. And so at this time, I'm pleased to welcome to the program Slavitza Demaine. Slavitza, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I hear an accent, Slavitza.
Yes, so I grew up in a small country, um, North Macedonia. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but I was um, studying agriculture when 20 years ago I started this journey. So while I was growing up, I come from low income family, but I always had my parents and my grandparents. So throughout my high school year, I worked on my grandparents' farm, and this is where I developed my love for farming and agriculture. When I was in college, I was studying agriculture engineering. An opportunity came up for me to come work and study here in the States. So at that time, there was a lot of corruption going on in our country, and really the only way you could be successful or do more with your life is, just step outside the box, take opportunity, and do whatever, something different. I knew that if I wanted to be more, I needed to kind of get out of my comfort zone, explore the world, and see what is out there. And I'm glad I did that 20 years ago because that was one of the most, I guess, learning journey that I have taken in my entire life. I had to start from very, like the lowest. I had to work and study hard in order to get to where I am.
Interesting story. So you mentioned North Macedonia.
Hmm.
You're right. I didn't know where that was at. So I looked on the map. So you were surrounded by Bulgaria, Greece, Albania, Kosovo.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Never been there, but maybe one day I'll get there. But
It's beautiful. There's a lot of
imagine.
mountains and rivers, it's absolutely gorgeous.
And you've been here 20 years. So when
Yep.
you moved here, did you speak English?
Honestly, when I moved here, so throughout my whole school year while I was home, we had English classes, but I didn't know English very well. So when I came here and on work and study, I knew that if I wanted to do something with my life, if I wanted to do more than what I was doing at that time, I needed to learn English very well. So, I met my husband at that time as well. So that kind of helped my learning process as well. I worked as a custodian for about 4 years, I believe. And throughout those 4 years, I experienced different, I guess, different type of things. Like sometimes we were not appreciated. We were underappreciated and we didn't have much voice. But there are times where it depends who you work with. They were very welcoming and they appreciated the work that we all did. So at that time, when I was doing custodial work, I knew that I wanted to do more than just being a custodian. So I decided that I will take any opportunity that comes my way and work my way up. So that's what I did. While I was working in a hotel doing custodial work, an inspector job came up, so I applied for it. So I got the job. And after that, our head housekeeper left, so I took over some of her responsibilities. I gained more experience. Then I think there was a point in time where I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this like being I can be a head housekeeper somewhere. So, I decided to look for jobs, and there was a job opening near my town. So I applied for it. I got it. And that was kind of the whole experience was a lot of learning. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I learned from them. And really, if you look at it, that's the best way to learn. You make a mistake, you see what you did wrong, and then you try not to repeat it and try to do something different moving forward. So, and then kind of progressed from there. From a hospitality industry, I used to work weekends and holidays and all that. So I was like, you know what? I want a job where maybe I can do Monday through Friday. So there was an opportunity to work in healthcare, and that was totally different. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I had to learn a lot. I had to go through a lot of certifications because healthcare it requires a different level of cleanliness, right? You're dealing with infection diseases, you're dealing with sick patients, you're dealing with like all kinds of I guess it's a different type of environment. So I worked there for about a couple of years. I had about, let's see, 20 employees that were under me. And again, I learned so much. My boss at that time, he was probably the best boss that I ever had. He let me make mistakes, but he also taught me how to do better next time. So from there, I was like, you know what? I can do more than this. So I decided to move across the borders of New Hampshire into Vermont. And I worked in healthcare there. I had about, let's see, 80 employees. And that was a whole different level of learning as well. I think it was at that time when I really learned what leadership is and the importance that the front line workers are doing, the work that the front line workers are doing, how important it is. So I stayed there for a couple of years, but at that time my daughter was young, so it was kind of all up. My husband's family was all up in New Hampshire, so I was like, you know what? We need to move back. My husband got a job here in Portsmouth, so we moved back. I stayed home for about a year, and that was probably the best year. I spent time with my daughter. That was amazing. I think the memories we built were so like important at that time, and from there I was ready to get back into get back. So I looked around here, and then I found higher ed. I've never worked in higher ed. I've worked in healthcare or worked in hospitality. I never worked in higher ed.
But you said, I can do this.
Yes, exactly. I can do this. So I started here about 10 years ago at Southern New Hampshire University, and I've been here since.
Wow. Lot of good details. So let's back up a bit. You came to the United States about 20 years ago. You've been in Vermont and New Hampshire, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Where'd you meet your husband?
Up where I was working in New Hampshire.
So
while I was doing my work and study program, my husband was working at the same restaurant I was working at. And that's how we met. Yes.
Okay. Well, good story. And you say he helped you with your English. I think you've mastered it.
He did because, at home we speak English all the time. And also while I was working, I knew that I had to learn the language in order to do something with my life, in order to move up and stuff. So, my first couple of years, I used to write things down and translate them of Macedonia and kind of progressed from there. I enrolled in classes here. I did a few certifications. So I think that all kind of helped build me to where I am today.
Okay. So we're going to talk more about your professional career as well. You are a big part of ISSA. Thank you for your support. I know you've taken training classes. SIM certification's important to you. I want to hear you say in Macedonian, everyone in the cleaning industry needs ISSA.
Секој во Индустрията зачистване им трябва ISSA.
Fantastic. Okay. That was an impromptu test. So yeah, very good. Um, so you're with Southern New Hampshire University. How many are
Mhm.
on your team there?
I have 40 employees.
40.
Mhm.
And what's it like to manage that now? Thinking of all the things you've done, here you are. Is this your final stop? Is this where you find it you're at your very best?
Honestly, I mean, I'm pretty content at the moment, but I think I can do more. Over the years here, I have learned so much from my team as a whole. I have employees range from 24 to 67. I have employees that have been here for 30 plus years. And I have a lot of like employees that have been here for 10 plus years. One thing that is consistent in here is a change. And, when you talk about change, it's a little bit challenging in the beginning, but, I think, I'm pretty good with change. So I mean, if I have an opportunity in the future to do something more, even greater, I would definitely not be shy from it. Um, but I definitely enjoy, working for Southern New Hampshire University. They're a wonderful university. They do care about their employees. My team is wonderful. I mean, they all of them bring different value to the table, and I have learned from each and every one of them. And that actually is what makes me be a better leader and want to do more because the work that we all do is so important, and I think a lot of times we we get underappreciated and undervalued. And I want to be that voice that tells people, hey, you know what, you're not just a housekeeper, you are more than just a housekeeper. you know so yeah.
I can sense that you're a natural leader and you enjoy what you do. I think that's critical. So your team, you have good communication with them?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
The biggest thing is really being transparent and
Mhm.
open, and give uh, constructive criticism. Obviously we have our challenges along the way. Not everyone is open to a feedback. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But you know what? If you're transparent and you kind of try to help them understand from where you're coming from and try to kind of use those coaching moments, I think I think that helps a lot with my team. And because that's what I do, I'll tell them what I think, obviously, in a way that they can understand. Not everyone understands it the same way. So you kind of have to be able to adjust your communication style with the different type of people. I also have a diverse group of people as well. So everyone learns a little bit differently and everyone takes a feedback a little bit differently. So you have to be kind of adjust you be able to adjust yourself to kind of communicate those things to them.
Yeah, it makes sense. So in your career, I've heard you say I could do that several times. You're doing one job, you're knocking it out of the park, as the saying goes. Something else comes along. Others must have noticed you to make that happen. Your superiors, who you work with, who might hire you. Thinking about your team,
Hmm.
how do you recognize talent? How do you recognize somebody has an ability and they need to do more with what they can do?
So, there throughout my time here, there's different situations that require a different, I guess, response to it, and there are people that stand out. There are people that will just come out and say, you know what, I can help, I can do this. And, there are people that they're natural leaders. They just need to kind of little coaching to get them there. And, when I see people, I try to kind of match the skills to the people that can do them. So, I have people that are great at this. So maybe I'll put this in doing that. I have people that are great at this and encouraged to kind of move on and develop those skills further. We're lucky enough that our university actually provides like a personal development. We have actually budget for that. So everyone is encouraged to actually take classes or attend maybe one of the university's classes that will help you kind of go to that next level. And if someone, like, let's say someone is not quite ready there to get to that level, I will tell them, it's like, hey, you know what? You need to work on this. We need to work on this to get you to that level. And throughout my career here, I have had a few people that have moved out from custodial, Tech 1 to Tech 2 to to a lead position. So floor techs. So you just got to be able to recognize those things and then help them, coach them to kind of move on to that next level.
Very nice. You've talked about this already a bit, the training and certification with ISSA, with CMI and SIMS. What has that really helped you to accomplish as an individual leader and also with your teams? How do you build that enthusiasm for training with your team? And talk about that pathway.
Throughout my entire career here, we were always encouraged to kind of go for, take training, take certifications. For me, the certification gives me a sense of validation about the work that we do. I think that also, and sense of pride, right? So we are putting all these things in place. We are implementing all these things. But, when you get that certification, actually it's a validation of like, okay, yes, you know what, you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Or like, for example, I did the audit certification. That particular certification helped me so much with our workloading. Like, I did the entire workloading for the university, and between ISSA resources and that workloading certification, and also I know how much you're familiar with APA. I kind of created our work loading for the campus, and I just resources to where I'm supposed to, if I was short here, then I'm extra here, then I move things from one place to another. And I think at this point in time, we're in a place where I'm pretty comfortable where we are in terms of staff to square footage, and we also have a little bit flexibility to work. So the certifications, I did learn a lot from them, also gave me the validation and the assurance that what we're doing is the right thing to do.
So some watching this program might be in charge of budgets for cleaning and training programs for their organization. And some might say, Slavitza, that training is expensive and certification maybe even more so. But what would you tell them as to how to balance the value and what you get with the cost?
So honestly, certifications, depends on budget. They are expensive, but the value you get is so much more than that. When you have people that go through this whole certification process, it actually teaches them something, and also kind of instills a sense of pride in them. So it helps with like, retaining employees. That's one thing. You can look at your budget and say, okay, you know what, maybe I can kind of adjust my budget here in order to put some dollars into training, because the value you get from training is so much than just the work, than just money, really. Another thing is, I tell my people is like, you get this certification, and this certification is good anywhere, really. If you decide to kind of move on and take your own journey and become more successful, that certification will help you. It will build you, will give you the skills, and you just gotta have to continue with it, work on it. It's not one time thing. Learning it's a lifetime. It's not like, okay, I am a certified now and I'm a professional and I can do, whatever. I think it's a learning. There's so many different certification out there, and you can learn so much from each of them.
Slavitza, your journey was all about you recognized your skill set and opportunity, and you said, I can do this. How do you feel when your teammates do that? Those on your team, when they're like, yeah, I'm good, but here's an opportunity and it's not in New Hampshire. I'm going to take it. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, if I see one of my team move on and do something more than what they are, I feel sense of pride and I feel sense of accomplishment. I have gone through, my journey, and I think with every path you take, you learn something. And if someone decides to move on and do more with their life, I am so happy to see that. I have had employees that, you know, they move on, they finish classes, they move on to a better, a better job or a higher level. I'm happy for that.
Mhm.
That means as a leader, I have done my job. I have helped this employee move on to the next level. And honestly, if you look at it on the end, it's this is what makes a leader, is really helping kind of push employees to that next level. I have employees that were housekeepers and now they're leads, and I worked with them and I tell them, okay, these are the things you need to work on, and don't be afraid. You will make mistakes along the way, but that's okay. You just learn from it and then do better next time.
Yeah, good advice. I think people look at training and certification as a skill set monitor, a way to get good at what they do. But you see it as bigger than that. You see it as a way to make yourself a better person, a better leader, no matter what you
Mhm.
do.
Absolutely.
So talk about your favorite ISSA programs. I know Sims means a lot to you.
Hmm.
For those watching this program right now, if they were like, Slavitza, what should I do with ISSA? What would you tell them?
Honestly, ISSA, it's a wonderful resource. Just in general, looking at, and all the things that you like in terms of my work, I have found so many resources on your website because of I am member of ISSA. People are always helpful. You learn from them. There's like always looking like new technologies and new like standards coming up. And also, you guys kind of give a voice to our industry because, we don't like in general, our industry does not get a lot of voice. And, it's just, I don't know, just the resources are tremendous on through ISSA. I have probably, when like, let's see, it was like 6 years ago, I think, when I actually decided to join ISSA. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. And since I joined, I was looking at that SIM certification. Okay. So I was like, oh my God, I want to get this certification. I do want to do this. But I had things to do to put in place in order to get there. So, by using your resources, the working with some of the team member of ISSA, I was able to get to that certification. That was kind of my goal. It was like, I don't know why, but I think it's just kind of validated. I think the work that we do, and I mean, we are 100% in-house housekeeping department, but for us is that for what this means for us is, okay, you know what, we know what we're doing to take care of our students, because on the end of the day, it's all about our students and the experience that they have.
I like that. Very good. To wrap up, Slavitza, anything you would like to tell the industry we haven't shared yet, or something we might have missed? Anything you can think of?
The one thing I would say that I hear a lot of, throughout my career of almost like 20 years, being in management for 15 years, is people think that the job we do is endless. But you know what? Our job is not endless. Our job is important. And I think everyone should take pride in the work we do, and you should not be ashamed of it. Just think about 4 years ago when COVID hit, right? We were the front line of defense. And that means we helped schools, organizations, and hospitals get back on track. We were the front line of defense, like on a regular day-to-day basis. Like for us is like working, like taking care of our students. This is what is about for me and my team, because the students are our future. They are our future. And there's many studies done that providing a clean environment actually is good for learning. When I hear feedback from our students, or even from our customers in the past, because I worked in healthcare, I worked in hospitality, when you hear that feedback says, oh my God, this place is absolutely gorgeous. It's so clean. I've never been anywhere like that. That kind of gives you a sense of pride. So you know what? I will tell everyone that listens this is don't be ashamed of being a housekeeper, because the job we do is so important. And another thing that I would say is if you have opportunities coming your way, don't be afraid to take them. You can do it. Everyone can do it. You just need to kind of be able to step out that comfort zone and go for it.